the Alabama Senate passes the nation's strictest abortion bill. The bill, which would now go to the governor's desk, would ban abortion in almost all cases. Alabama is one signature away from enacting a near total ban on abortions after the state Senate passed a controversial bill that makes performing the procedure a felony offense. Under the Human Life Protection Act, doctors who perform an abortion at any stage of pregnancy could face a minimum sentence of 10 years in prison. The only exception in the legislation is in cases where the life of the pregnant woman is at risk. The bill passed on Tuesday, 25-6. Before the vote, the Republican-controlled Senate rejected an amendment that would have allowed abortions for pregnancies caused by rape and incest. The Alabama House passed the same bill last month, and if Governor Kay Ivey signs it into law, she has not publicly made up her mind, it will become effective within 6 months. Senate Minority Leader Bobby Singleton says women in the state didn't deserve this. The state of Alabama ought to be ashamed. So there was a big argument about having exceptions for rape and incest, but the Republicans won that argument, and this is called the Human Life Protection Act. Should be called the Human Ruining Lives Protection Act. So here's what State Representative Terry Collins, who sponsored the new legislation, here's what she says. The bill is very simple. It's not about birth control or the morning after pill. It's about not allowing abortion once the woman is pregnant. The entire bill was designed to overturn Roe v. Wade and allow states to decide what is best for them. Eric Johnston, who drafted the legislation as president of the Alabama Pro-Life Coalition, said he was confident the governor would sign the bill. It is his hope that the law will be challenged, he said, and will eventually be reviewed by the Supreme Court. He applauded the legislature for not adding any exceptions to the bill. It is a traumatic event, and I don't want to diminish how serious it is, he said, and he's referring to rape and incest when he says that. But, here's what he says, if we are arguing personhood, then it does not matter how a child is conceived. An elected official who is a male in 2019 just uttered that sentence. And let's go ahead and translate that sentence. That is saying, women, you're just a vessel. You are nothing more. You have no right over your body, none whatsoever. You are just a vessel to spit out life into this world. That's all you are. That's what this guy's saying. That's what this guy is saying. And he's an elected official saying this stuff. We're still having these arguments over abortion. We still have not, and I know that we all thought, or at least I certainly thought, I guess I can't speak for everyone, but I really thought we were evolving socially. And I feel like in some ways we have, in many ways we have, but in other ways we're still really stuck in a rut. And I guess, when you see us make progress on gay marriage and you see us make progress on these other issues, sometimes, at least I'm guilty of this, you think, oh, gee, all right, we've overcome some kind of archaic ways of thinking. We're moving forward. And I'm not saying I entertain some fantasy that there weren't, anti-choice people still in the world. Of course, I know that, but I thought, it had evolved farther than this. We wouldn't have something this brutal and archaic. But that's clearly not the case. That's clearly not the case at all. And by the way, just for the record, I felt this way even when I was in Tennessee. So, well, Ron, you were in California. That's a bubble. No, I felt this way when I was in Tennessee. I really thought we were moving forward. When I was in the middle of Nashville, Tennessee, celebrating gay marriage being signed into law, and watching the new mayor of Nashville, who was a young progressive woman who beat an old Coke money Republican guy. And we heard about her performing the first gay marriage in the state. I thought we were moving forward on a lot of things. I really did. socially. I knew economically we still had a lot of problems. But socially, felt like we were moving forward. Then you see something like this. And, it's amazing. I don't know if you guys saw the Ben Shapiro interview where he stormed off from that BBC interview. He got mad and he walked out of a BBC interview. He was yelling at the host of that show, whose name I forget off the top of my head, but the host of that show was saying how brutal what they're trying to do in Georgia and Alabama is. And he was asking Ben Shapiro about it. Ben Shapiro started yelling at him, calling him a leftist. The guy's a conservative. The host is a conservative by UK standards. He is part of, he's with the conservatives. He's a conservative columnist. That's why when Ben Shapiro said that to him, he laughed. And everybody else at the BBC was laughing about it too. And in many ways, that's this, that whole interview, if you haven't seen it, is kind of sums up everything that's wrong with our politics in the USA in kind of like this anecdotal snapshot. Because first of all, he started yelling at the guy. Ben Shapiro started yelling at the guy saying, "I'm famous and no one knows who you are." Like he kept saying, I'm famous, no one knows who you are. Which, little bit of exceptionalism going on there, right? A little bit of a, like, American exceptionalism. Like, well, I'm famous and I know I'm famous. You're over in another country. I don't know much about that, but I'm guaranteeing no one knows who you are. Because you're in another country, no one in the United States knows who you are, so no one must know who you are. So there's a little bit of that going on. And then, again, this guy who is a conservative over there is saying that these laws are unnecessarily brutal and they're too extreme. And Ben Shapiro's calling him a leftist for holding that view. And by the way, in the United States, that guy would probably be considered center-left. He'd probably be considered, or, well, at least center. That's why when we say, look, if you're a moderate by United States standards, you're a conservative. That's not some, like, not understanding where moderates are at. That's understanding that our Overton window is so far to the right in the United States. It is so far to the right that if it were a movie still, the camera wouldn't be able to zoom out far enough. That's how far to the right our Overton window is. I'm sitting here in my apartment. If my place is the Overton window in most of the industrialized world, the United States Overton window is in my neighbor's apartment that way. I'm pointing to my right, by the way. And that's why you see stuff like this happen. And that's why, I mean, the fact that man uttered that sentence in 2019... It'd be disgusting if anyone uttered that sentence, by the way. If a woman uttered it, it would be disgusting too, obviously. But the fact that it's a man who's an elected official who can utter that and know there won't be consequences for him. That's insane. I mean, he's literally saying, it doesn't matter. You're a vessel, ladies. You are a vessel. That's all you are. That's what he's saying. That is literally what he's saying. And this is what happens when you have... I mean, there are anti-choice Democrats. That's the thing. There are anti-choice Democrats. One of them was the vice president selection in 2016. And I call it anti-choice because... I think that the verbiage pro-life needs to just go away. There is nothing pro-life about that movement. Nothing at all. They are pro-ruining lives. So I try to not even utter the words pro-life because there is nothing that is pro-life about it. Nothing at all. This bill in Alabama will put women in danger. It will put women's health in danger. And it is just archaic beyond comprehension. Making felons out of people who are making one of the most difficult decisions of their lives. Nobody considers abortion a birth control mechanism. Abortion is a last resort. when people are in a situation and they have no other options, and you're demonizing people, they have the right to that choice, and you're going to put them in jail when they're making the most difficult decision of their lives, one of the most difficult decisions of their lives. It's bad enough you have people standing outside of these clinics yelling at them and shaming them. But that's not enough. That's not enough. No, you need to throw them in jail now. You need to throw doctors in jail. So we'll see what happens with this. I have the feeling the governor's going to sign it. And I have a feeling it'll be fought out in court. But, who knows what's going to happen there. It's not looking good in the courts. Conservatives in other countries say this is brutal, by the way. Conservatives in other countries. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and